Have you ever wanted to sing to your critics, "If you could see me now"? Well, that's exactly what our guests are saying to the world today. My next guest was a horrible student at Cypress Creek High School in Cypress, Texas in the early 80s. Stephen Bacque says that most of his teachers wrote him off, but he's here today to show one of his rough, rotten principles that he's made it big, real big, in fact. What was high school like for you?
Very tough. I did very poorly all the way from elementary, junior high, and high school.
Why did you do so poorly?
I have a learning disability that they did not find out till I was much older, that I suffer from dyslexia. And they kept passing me from one grade to the next, and you have to know this to be able to go on to the next phase, and so it just kept getting increasingly harder. And I would try very hard to study and just couldn't keep up. And then I got just fed up with it, and everyone was telling me I was stupid, and became a self-fulfilling prophecy, and I started believing it myself, and I just kind of took a defeatist attitude.
So when were you diagnosed with having dyslexia?
In my late 20s. After getting out of high school, I went to the Marines, and that wasn't a problem there. The way the Marine Corps teaches you things, you learn.
Even you can learn with dyslexia, right?
Oh,
yeah.
You could learn with with no brain at all. They drill it into you.
Yeah.
And then I got out of the Marines, and I went to college at Southwest Texas State University in San Marcos, Texas, and was using my VA benefits there and had a small rodeo scholarship. And I did well in some of my classes, but was doing poorly once again. Then went to Rutgers University up in New Jersey, where I reside now, and was still studying agricultural courses, and they discovered my learning disability, and they had me diagnosed and had me tested. And then they taught me methods to compensate for my learning disability, and then my grades made a drastic improvement.
Because you can compensate for dyslexia.
Yeah, they taught me some different study methods and way to trigger my memory, and helped me with my grammar and my speech and reading ability and this type of thing. And in one semester, I went from being on scholastic probation to an A and B student.
Whoa. Now, Stephen says that the school official who wrote him the hardest was Vice Principal Jack Sheridan. And Mr. Sheridan is here. Come on out, Mr. Sheridan. Well, Mr. Sheridan, Stephen's come a long way since his days at Cypress Creek High School. Take a look at him now. Take a look at him.
We started with 2 people in the basement of my home, my wife and myself. I put every penny that I had myself into the company, my wife and I, all of our own personal savings, and then from my wife's salary. My wife and I, we lost our first child, Paul Joseph Bacque. That's why the toy line's the PJ line of toys. And I wanted to build something positive in the memory of my first child. I'm originally from Texas, growing up on a ranch involved in rodeo, so kind of came naturally to me, so all cowboy products. About 3 years ago, working on a second degree at Rutgers University, they discovered I was dyslexic, and told me it would greatly impede my educational progress. I felt what it was like to be discriminated against, so I wanted to try to create as much meaningful employment for as many other physically and mentally challenged individuals as I could. If you take care of your employees and you take care of your product and the end consumer, the profits will come all by themselves.
That is the truth. If we could only get people to get back. And the profits did roll in for Stephen. He was named Entrepreneur of the Year by Inc. magazine in 1993 and is now in the process of selling his company to a multi-million-dollar toy conglomerate. Look at him now. So because, Mr. Sheridan, now you hear that he was dyslexic all those years, and you just thought, what, didn't have any gumption, didn't have any what?
No, I thought that he had some work ethics about him, because he did work when he was in high school. And as I recall, I'm not particularly sure, but I think he was one of those that was a little bit late to school every day and had a little bit of a hard time getting going. And later on, after he graduated from high school, I recall that he did join the Marine Corps and things started moving.
turned around from. What do you want to say to Mr. Sheridan today?
Well, I appreciate, he was one of the few people through junior high and high school that I think he saw some potential in me, and I think he rode me a little hard because he wanted to push me, and a lot of my other teachers and the other people at the school kind of wrote me off and thought I would never amount to a whole hell of a lot in life, and so I want to thank him for that.
Well, thank you.
Coming up, they told this high school dropout.